thanks for joining me. Today I want to show you Cake Play. This is one of my favorite companies. It's an Isomalt company, basically. If you're not familiar with Isomalt, it's basically a sugar derivative, kind of based like Splenda. The purpose of using this as opposed to real sugar for embellishments for your cakes and things like that, you can get it to a higher temperature, which takes it to that hard crack stage where you want like a solid sugar, almost like a lollipop. If you were doing that with real sugar, then it starts to turn amber at that stage and it gets discolored a little bit. So you can get perfectly clear adornments, that sort of thing, with this Isomalt. Now, this comes in a foil pack, so it's reclosable. All you want to do is take a few of these nibs out. What I'm using here, there's different microwave safe and heat safe vessels that you can use to warm this up. It's just going to go in the microwave, but I like to use these silicone muffin cups. It's basically a 6-count muffin pan that I cut up into individual cups so I can just heat up the colors that I want. So I'm just going to take a few of my clear nibs and let me just show you how you do this. It's going to go in the microwave. I'm going to start with about 30 seconds for this, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, so what we've got here, I always want to handle this by the edge. It is extremely hot. You can see it's bubbling some, but it's not all the way melted. So I'm just going to kind of rotate this around a little bit. If you feel like you need to stir it, use a wooden skewer or toothpick, something like that. You just tend to leave a little bit more of the product in the cup. So after rotating that a little bit, I'm going to pop it back in the microwave for about another 20 seconds. And we should be just about there. Okay, this is actually looking really good. See how this is bubbling so much? Again, high caution with this. If this gets on your skin, your skin's going to come back off with it. So basically I want to rotate this just a little bit, just to make sure it's nice and melted throughout it, that it's got no lumps left in there. And then I'm going to let that sit there just a minute. What's great about the Isomalt is you really don't need to use a thermometer with this. It's a little bit more visual. As long as it's like hot and bubbling like that, you're at the right temperature. Don't stop before it gets to this point or it's not going to be clear enough. You're going to get a cloudy look. So what I'm going to do first, I've waited for all the bubbles to fall out, and we're kind of at a good point right here. I always want to handle this by the edge, and this is one drawback to using this, is you don't have quite as much control with it as the pouring cups that have like a point, but I do like the fact that once this hardens back up, I can salvage everything that's left in there. So all I'm going to do is kind of pour this into my silicone mold. You don't want to overfill, but you do want to make sure it reaches all the edge of the cavities. And then my smaller one as well. This is going to take about 10 minutes or so to kind of firm up. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and warm up some of my color so you can see it on this white mold. I'm going to make a little flower with this. So we'll heat up some of our pink so you can see that a little bit better. Okay, so again, I heated up my pink and I've got the bubbles that I want to see. You want it nice and liquid. It shouldn't be like a thick liquid. It should be very pourable. So that's about the stage I want to see. So all I'm going to do, pour a little bit in the center. I want to make sure I use the this is a 2-piece cavity, so this kind of forms an impression on the top of it. So I'm going to pour it into this part, not onto this part, because it kind of creates a little bowl there. So I'm just going to pour about halfway full, and then wait just a second. I want it to have a little bit of body. I don't want it just to kind of ooze all out. Don't worry too much if some comes out the edge of the mold. That actually lets you know that it's kind of filling up the mold pretty well, because that'll snap off really easily later. You can at this point too, if you want, take a toothpick and kind of clean that up, but it really snaps off easily later. It takes about 15-20 seconds or so. And don't worry too much. If you want to look back at these flowers while this is setting up, you'll see that like some of the very edges of some of the petals weren't quite filled up, but it still looks like a natural flower. Don't worry too much if that's not all the way to the edge. Okay, so before I see this is going to separate pretty well, so I can go ahead and kind of pull some of this off, this excess. You can hear, I don't know if you hear that snap, but that snaps off pretty easily. So I'm just going to go ahead and release that from the mold. So again, with the petals not quite complete, it still looks fine, because if you look over at some of these, you can see that some of these petals also are not as full, but it still looks really natural, like just a natural flower. Probably just a couple more minutes and then we can release these gems from their molds. If you'll notice these pink ones that I already turned out, These are nice and shiny. When they come out of a silicone mold, they can be a little bit dull to start with. And in order to shine them up, what you want to do is take a torch to it. So I'm going to show you that in just a second when I unmold these. So I've got my torch ready. I always want to aim this away from me so I'm not accidentally leaning across it and hurting myself. Safety is really important when you're working with sugar. That being said, don't let it scare you. These things are so easy to work with, quick microwave type thing, and you can do some really cool embellishments. Okay, so this is ready to turn out. These just come right out. There's no grease or anything in here, but you can see they're a little bit cloudy. I'll put them on the black here so you can see a little bit better. So what I'm going to do to shine them up and make them really cute is I have my torch going over here. This is just a propane torch. And I'm just going to make sure it's not on a surface that's going to melt at all. I have it right on my marble, so that's safe. And I'm just going to really quickly kind of gloss over it. And what that does is it takes any kind of air bubbles off the surface. It also shines it up and just makes it look super nice and clear. So this is just a couple of really quick, easy uses for the Isomalt. I really love the cake play nibs. They're super convenient. They come in a lot of different colors. You can get that really nice, clear look. It's these little flowers, when you're doing them in molds and presses like that, they really come out quickly. Nice, quick, last-minute touches that you don't have to let dry for hours or days, that sort of thing. So give it a try. The cake play nibs, again, are just super easy to use. They're great in a pinch when you need that little bit of an embellishment, and it's a lot of fun to work with. So give it a try. Thanks for watching.